What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for November 17th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. It's a Friday edition, and as usually is the case, we got a big show today. That seems to be our MO now on Fridays for some reason. We'll take it, though. Let's start with the question of the day recap. Yesterday, we talked about Joe's comments after the Celtics game about how they might be the best team. And we kind of went down the whole Celtics right now own the Sixers and have for about the past 5 to 8 years or so. But he flat out said they're the best team in the league. And a lot of people I saw on Twitter, and it may have been initial reaction, I don't know, felt some type of way about that. And I wanted to see what you thought. What do you think about Joe's comments? And for the most part, the overwhelming majority of everyone said, who cares? Or even probably the more accurate answer, he might be right. So thank you for everybody who participated in that. Again, just wanted to make sure we're evolving. It makes me feel good that at least the listeners to this podcast have somewhat more of a better sports IQ than others who are like, you can't say that about the Celtics. It's like, who cares? They are the best team right now in the league. Sorry. I don't think the Sixers are a complete team yet. We've talked about that. However, we'll move on from there. But again, thank you for everybody who participated in the question of the day. More on today's question of the day coming up later in the show. Quick housekeeping note, there is a new Back to the Future that I dropped last night. We took a look at the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. That's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. If you are new to This Day in Philly Sports History, just a quick reminder, this is exactly that, what we do. We take a look at this day in Philly sports history, go over the current state of Philly sports. The other podcast I do is Back to the Future. That's a weekly, probably soon to be, and I don't want to give a spoiler yet, but might switch to bi-weekly in the new year, but I'll get more onto that later. But where we take a deeper dive into a specific topic, era, or team, or player. So this week we looked at the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, kind of their history, and really underrated and almost a forgotten part of Philly sports history. So be sure to check that out wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. That's Back to the Future with a PH. Best way to stay in the loop with all of this is to just like and subscribe to both podcasts. You get the notification that a new episode is posted. Also, spread the word. Let's try to grow this thing. We've grown so much in a little over a year, and I still think the best is yet to come. So spread the word. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. All right, Sixers news. They are in Atlanta tonight for their next in-season tournament game against the Hawks. I guess basically this is almost like a I haven't checked the standings, to be honest, but almost like a do or die for them. I think if they lose this game, they are probably not going to advance out of their bracket. But more importantly, this is kind of more of a mental thing for the Sixers. I feel like they need to win this game, especially after the start they got out to. You don't want to lose 3 in a row. So looking forward to that game tonight. The big story, and I completely just overlooked this just because everything was kind of breaking as I was recording yesterday. That's the Kelly Oubre situation. And there's so many different layers to this. The biggest one is the police are not finding any evidence or video surveillance of him getting hit by the car. But then TMZ Sports released a video, which is, I don't know how they were able to get a hold of this, but they released a video of him going into his apartment from his video camera and telling his wife, girlfriend, whoever was with him, that he got hit by a car and he had a bike. So again, there's more to it. The whole story is not out yet, but I will say specifically, and Howard Eskin is just, they're skewering this guy, and I'm not sure. Maybe there's more to it. I don't know. But I think without knowing the full story, it's kind of tough to start accusing and pointing fingers at certain things. Maybe he didn't get hit by a car. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. I kind of am just waiting to see how this plays out. I mean, there definitely are some inconsistencies with the story. Like, I'm not trying to say, oh, you're picking on Kelly Oubre. But like now people are starting to question his character. Like, oh, why do you think you got him for the league minimum? Why do you think nobody else won? And why do you think he was on 7 teams and this many? And I don't know if there's any truth or anything or basis to any of this. But this is where sort of the speculation goes. And it's kind of like I kind of miss some of the old school reporting where it's like, hey, let's wait till we have facts. Let's not just take and start jumping to conclusions and things like that. But this is the world we live in with social media. So more on that as the story develops. But it is an interesting case. And I'm sure I haven't checked today if there are any more breaking things came overnight. But again, more on that. But the Sixers are in Atlanta tonight for their next in-season tournament game. Speaking of the Sixers, go to phillygoat.com. That Maximus shirt, Are You Not Entertained? Or Maximus shirt, I should say, for Tyrese Maxey is phenomenal. I've been telling you about the Mega John shirts. They got the Jason Kelce Sexiest Man Alive. It's a great place to go do Christmas shopping. So many people have told me they're going to do some Christmas shopping there. And again, we're buying nieces and nephews shirts from there. Go check it out. They have kid sizes. The selection is awesome. So go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery, 10% off your order. It's going to be a really big help if you have a big family. You're buying shirts for everybody. Use that promo code. Take your 10% off. phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery. They have a great selection of, basically, that's your one-stop shop for Philly sports-based apparel. And check out some of their other Philly-centric thing, their neighborhood things, the Philly Pride. Just go. You won't be disappointed. phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All right. Eagles update. And not really much in terms of, I feel like both sides are focused. From an injuries perspective, things are looking good for the Eagles. Cam Jurgens, Bradley Roby, and Cal Quintera all were full participants yesterday, which is good. For the most part, I guess Dallas is the only one that's not going to be playing, which is good. And I'm anxious to see. I was listening to some of Nick Sirianni's press conference yesterday, and he was non-committal about whether Bradley Roby would be moving into the slot or not, but he also didn't say he wasn't. And one key thing that I think I heard, and I forget where I read or if I heard it on one of the shows, was that Kevin Byard actually played well. I forget whether it was this season. It might have been this season against Kansas City. So that's going to be huge. I think it was this season. It's going to be huge for the Eagles. So, and really they need to focus on, I mean, Kelsey's going to get his, but pretty similar to what they did with Tyreek Hill and containing him and things like that. But having Bradley Roby back is going to be huge for that. I also think being able to not be one-dimensional and being able to run the ball, hopefully with Cam Jurgens is back, that's going to help that out. I would like to see more Rashad Penny, but again, there's got to be a reason why we're over halfway through the season and this dude hasn't even sniffed the field for the most part. So I don't know, but from an injury perspective, the Eagles are looking good. A couple random tidbits that are coming out. Obviously, and this goes back to Sirianni's press conference, but Jordan Mailata is saying the fact that this is a Super Bowl rematch, it's a little bit extra personal for him to get motivated. Sirianni was asked about that, and he said, listen, each guy is going to use his own thing to get motivated. Our goal is to keep it even and be consistent through all 17 games. And he's like, if it gets to the point where the motivation is too much, then we'll say something. But he's like, everybody's got their own thing. And Mailata said as much. He was like, listen, the thing is still the thing as far as motivation, but for him it's a little bit more personal, he said, than some of his other teammates. Jason Kelce, on the other hand, said he's not really looking at it as a Super Bowl revenge thing. He said, I'd rather not lose to Andy Reid or my brother again, so that's my motivation. which I kind of like. I mean, and again, it just goes to show where this team is. You have the head coach saying, do what you got to do to get motivated, but keep it contained. And the players are basically saying the same thing. So I think for Mailata, I guarantee you Jalen Hurts really wants this game. So I'm starting to kind of get a clear picture of which way I want to go with this game, but we got to wait till Monday. It's frustrating. But I don't mind Monday Night Football. I mind Monday Night Football after being on a bye. That's, I guess, what really just, especially after the big Dallas win. And then the other story out of this game so far that I saw was Chris Jones of the Chiefs said he has a rugby friend who gave him some pointers on the tush push. And that's great. And I do think, like, the tape is out there. Like, you just... I know lots of things. To borrow a line from my buddy one time, he's like, I know a lot about the game of basketball. Doesn't mean I can play it. I know a lot about, I can see what's happening. I know how to stop the tush push. Doesn't mean I can do it. So good luck with that on Monday, Chris. Be sure, new episode dropped yesterday. It's definitely a good one. Check out the Clashing Conferences podcast. My boys are doing a good job over there. We'll eventually have some things lined up with those guys as well. But be sure to check out the Clashing Conferences podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. All right, today we're going to go back to 1981. And on this day in 1981, Mike Schmidt was named MVP for the second consecutive year. He received, the year before in 1980, he was unanimous. This year, he won 21 of the 24 first-place votes, had a total of 321 points, over almost 100 more over second place in the voting, Andre Dawson. And this was kind of an interesting thing. Mike became only the third National League player to win back-to-back. And only the fifth National League player to win 2 MVP awards. Since then, those numbers have gone up. But just interesting fact. And it was only the fourth MVP in Phillies team history. Schmidt winning the year before. And then you had Jim Constantine in 1950, as well as Chuck Klein in 1932. Which is, for a team that had such a long history, by 1981 they were almost 100 years in and only have 4 MVPs, just kind of goes to show you that period of time between like the 20s and 1950 of just how the futility of the Phillies. But again, since that 1981 MVP by Mike Schmidt, there have been 4 more in Philly. Schmidt won it again in 86, Ryan Howard in 06, Jimmy Rollins in 07, and Bryce Harper in 2021. But the interesting thing about Mike Schmidt's stats in 1981 are there was almost like a third of the season was missed because of a player strike. And some of his numbers would have been MVP worthy during a full 162-game season. So here's his numbers. He hit .316, led the league with 31 homers and 91 RBIs, which also led the league. Scored 78 runs, which led the league. 73 walks, which led the league. A .435 on-base percentage, which led the league. .644 slugging percentage, which led the league. Led the league in OPS as well as total bases and sacrifice fly. And then on top of that, he won the Gold Glove. All of this in 102 games played due to that player strike. So it's just amazing. This was Mike Schmidt in his prime, was just a phenomenal player. It was the only time he hit over 300 for a season in his career. But to have those numbers in 100 games in a strike-shortened season, a lot of times, especially back then before things were kind of, the game obviously is different now, but to have those numbers in a strike-shortened season, which would have been MVP consideration numbers back then, is just phenomenal. And obviously, I look all the time at my Mike Schmidt autograph right there. My probably all-time favorite player in Philadelphia sports history. Love Schmitty. Would have loved to have seen him more in his prime, more so than the tail end of his career. But, I mean, winning back-to-back MVPs and just the numbers that he put up from that stretch, probably really from like 76 to 86. Like, that 10-year span was just phenomenal. Greatest third baseman to ever play the game. I will take that to my grave. There's no debating that. So don't even at me with anything else. Mike Schmidt is the greatest third baseman of all time. However, where you can at me is today's question of the day. We talked about it. There have been 8 MVP awards in Phillies history. Mike Schmidt won 3. Jim Constantine in 1950, Chuck Klein in 1932, and then you had Howard and Rollins back-to-back, and then Bryce Harper. So my question for you is, we're going to take Klein and Constantine's out, and we're going to take Schmidt's 81 and 86 out, just because I feel as though 80 was the best season that he had, because of just the numbers, the fact he won the World Series, and it was unanimous. But which MVP of the Phillies had the best season? Is it the 1980 Mike Schmidt season, 2006 Ryan Howard, which was phenomenal, the 07 Jimmy Rollins, which was equally as phenomenal, or the 2021 Bryce Harper? Be sure to let me know if you think it's one of the other 4. Let me know that too. But that's the question of the day. Which MVP in Phillies history had the best season? Mike Schmidt in 1980, Ryan Howard in 06, Rollins in 07, Bryce Harper in 2021, or one of the other ones. Be sure to hit me up on Twitter or TikTok at Jimbo_Mont, Instagram at Philly Jimbo. If you're friends with me on Facebook, drop a line there. Leave a comment wherever you're watching this. I had a lot of comments come in about the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets yesterday. So keeping all of that helps the algorithm out and helps us grow this. So let me know which MVP season was the best in Phillies history. I've been telling you about Car Can. Every time my son gets in the truck now, he's like he's picking up the trash that he dropped to put in the can. It's amazing. Like, I should have gotten this a lot sooner. You got to check this place out. Carcan.com. It's a trash can for the back of your seat. If your kids are anything like mine, they're a hot mess. But you can also use it for storage. It doubles as a cooler. Don't have kids or need it for your back seat. They have other car organization oil. They have things for your trunk, your glove compartment, your visors, cup holders, you name it, they have it. Go check them out. Carcan.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off, all one word, for 20% off of your order. This makes a great Christmas present, especially for the people at the office. You don't want to buy them a Mega John shirt. That's fine. Do the Pollyanna or whatever, the white elephant, whatever you do. This would be the hit of the Pollyanna. Go Carcan.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 20% off of your order. The more you buy, the cheaper it will be. And again, I'm telling you, my kids are starting to pick up the trash that they've already dropped to put in. It's amazing. And again, I wish I'd have done this sooner. Carcan.com. Jim Montgomery 20 off for 20% off of your order. You won't be disappointed. But speaking of disappointment, continuing with our Phillies' most disappointing athletes, today we are going to go and stick with the Phillies, and we're going to talk about Adam Eaton. And Adam Eaton signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Phillies in 2006. And let me preface before I get into just how big of a disappointment this was. I don't think he came in with the hype of some of the other people we've been speaking of. I think his disappointment came more with his on-field performance. But ironically enough, he was originally drafted by the Phillies with the 11th overall pick in 1996. And was traded, even more ironically, for Andy Ashby, who was another Phillies disappointment, who didn't even make this list. So that just goes to show you the deep levels of disappointment in Philly sports athletes. But Adam Eaton was horrible from the very start. His first start against the Braves, he went 4 2/3, gave up 7 earned runs. So you would think, okay, they went out. He was supposed to be one of the top starters for the Phillies. You think, okay, he's going to get it better. Just what? No. It didn't get any better from there. It got worse, in fact. He went 10-10 with a 6.29 ERA that first year. Think about that. 6.29 as your starter. And you're supposed to be one of the prize free agent people or free agent signings. And to boot, and this has nothing to do with anything, even though he was responsible for a few of them. I think the irony is just too good to pass up on this one. Adam Eaton was the losing pitcher when the Phillies lost their 10,000th game. That just goes to show, like, that's like next level disappointment at that point. It's just next level. But wait, there's more. We do know that the Phillies won the division in 2007. Adam Eaton was so bad, he didn't make the postseason roster, not even as like a Tawan Walker guy that will just keep in the bullpen just in case we need him. No, Charlie was like, no, you're not going to Colorado with us. Get out of here. But you would think that would serve as motivation for him. Okay, I'm going to get better for 2008. You would think that. Well, he started off the season by All-Star break. He was about 3-8 with a 5.7 ERA in only 19 starts. So bad that the Phillies traded for Joe Blanton and basically sent Adam Eaton to the bullpen. I don't think, maybe he pitched 1 or 2 games in the bullpen, but they were just like, you know what, get the fuck out of here. Go to the minor leagues. We're done with you. Ultimately, they called him up. I'm sorry, he did pitch 2 games before the All-Star break. That's right. They sent him to the minors. They called him up in September and didn't use him at all and did not leave him, or didn't put him obviously on the 2008 postseason roster. Signed with the Orioles in one of his interviews, and this is really why, like, I don't know if this is more of a hatred thing or a disappointment thing or a combination of the two. This dude had the audacity to basically say there was a lot of good things happening in Philadelphia while I was there, and I'd like to say I helped them make the playoffs and win that World Series. What? Excuse me? You went 10-10 with a 6.29 ERA, and then you went 3-8 with a 5.71 ERA. Got sent down to the minors in July, dude. But you helped us? It pisses me off to no end that this guy got a World Series ring. And I know I shouldn't care. And I know if a guy plays 1 minute or whatever, he gets a World Series ring or a Super, whatever it could be. But this pisses me off. Adam Eaton did nothing. And yes, I'm going on a rant on a Friday. I'm going in on Adam Eaton. He did nothing to earn that. If anything, maybe we wouldn't have had to sweat out the Mets in 2007. Maybe we would have won the division a little bit earlier in 2008. But you helped us? Come on, dude. Seriously? Like, get the fuck out of here. You helped us win the World Series and get to the playoffs. You helped us do nothing. And you got a World Series ring for it. Nothing. You were terrible. With a capital T. Adam Eaton helping us win the World Series. Get me all fired up and pissed off on a Friday. Feel good Friday, and I feel like punching Adam Eaton in the face. And he does. We've talked about this a lot. He does have a very punchable face. But Adam Eaton, today's Phillies' most disappointing athlete. Be sure to answer the question of the day. Which Phillies MVP season was the best? Mike Schmidt in 1980, Ryan Howard in 06, Jimmy Rollins in 07, and Bryce Harper in 2021. I gotta be honest, I don't know which way I would vote for this. I can make the case for all 4 of them to be the number one, the best. Adam Eaton's got me all fired up and it got me flustered. Sorry. I can make the case for any one of the 4 of them to be the best season for Phillies MVP. Sixers tonight in Atlanta for the NBA tournament, in-season tournament. Hopefully we get an update on the Kelly Oubre situation. Be sure to go check out Back to the Future. Visit our sponsors. All the links you need are in the web or the description down here. Be sure to vote. And if you see Adam Eaton, tell him I hate him. Happy Friday, everyone. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Friday. It's going to be a beautiful day before the rain comes. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.